New year, I'm pretty sure your P&L is looking lovely. So I'm excited. I'm excited for 2023. I can't wait to see what the rest of this month has in store. Ready to see what the Federal Reserve is going to do. This year is going to be phenomenal. I absolutely can't wait for the next earnings season. You know, earnings season is when our strategy really shines, which is the 1 minute multi-day VWAP earnings reversals. I just absolutely love them because you get the gap ups and you get the gap downs in the pre-markets, and the strategy is pretty much the bread and butter. But man, how about gold? I sent out the gold report, I think last weekend, and yeah, soon as that trading day opened last week, we put on some trades for GDX. We put on some trades for NEM, and we also had a 171 call in GLD gold. GLD went to 100% that next day. I think GDX is holding around 48% profit. Still holding a few contracts left on that. On the 31 calls going out to, I want to say April. Paid about $2 for them. They're worth about 3 something. So awesome trading in gold. I'm very excited to see what gold does in the next coming weeks. It's like a healthy pullback here. It is just on a monster move to me. We went over some charts. Look for 31.05 break to the downside. Retested multi-day. I doubt it. Gold, if we go to go out a little bit. Got a breakout. Clean breakout here. It's kind of where we got into. We were looking for this breakout level. 31.75 was the line in the sand to stay long, so we're staying long in gold, GDX. What else? Let's talk about Soxo today. Soxo and gold, Coinbase, absolutely on fire. Absolutely on fire. This is a Soxo right now. We're on the 1 hour, 20-day chart. Going back 20 days, every hour on the hour. So Soxo, which is the ETF trust for semiconductors, AMD chips and things like that, TSM. Anyway, clear downtrend. But look where we're back to. Clear levels around 12. So we bought the $12 calls today, expiring on the 13th. Awesome trade. This trade was so phenomenal this morning. We had the ability to catch it under the VWAP, which I just, the perfect entry. The perfect entry. We were also able to catch Macy's under the VWAP. So of course we got a little resistance here. VWAP break, that's the strategy, right? We wait for VWAP breaks. VWAP meaning volume weighted average price, which is this blue line here, which is the price, the fair market value of the market, algorithmic based. That's why it's super important indicator. The rest of these red and green lines are significant price levels, so we love to trade price action only based on volume. All right. So we like to look for shares that's trading no less than 2 million, because when does VWAP work the best? When you got a lot of volume. So we don't really want to trade anything under 2 million on the volume. But check this. So the fake out, so we call this the dip and rip. Dip and rip. Oh my God, Soxo completely exploded today and just went crazy. So we got a dip at the open below the VWAP. Could have got short. It would have been a short trade, because as soon as you got short, so this line right here, and our strategy is to go from blue line to orange line. So it's okay to be wrong, just don't stay wrong, right? And that's why we kind of wait that first 5 to 15 minutes before we even put a trade on. Soxo was automatic. it was one of those let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 10 minutes after the open. About 10 minutes after the open, kind of gave you some idea on what it wanted to do. So that's why we kind of wait. So to the downside, we would have been waiting for a confirmation on a break of this level right here, because we got to think about what's in place. Do we have any barriers of resistance, support, anything on our way that will kind of obstruct our initial plan, which is blue line to orange line? So the rest of these price levels are here to kind of give us that blueprint, right? So that's why we kind of wait a little bit, unless we get a signal real early and we want to jump on at the best price. So that goes back to something else I wanted to talk about, was just trading rules. The thing that kind of hurts a lot of traders is that they just put way too much size on. You know, I think it's uncomfortable for a lot of beginning traders to actually trade so small, because they want that instant gratification. They want that money, right? Mortgage money tomorrow, and then I want to do it again the next day. And if you don't really understand what's going on, or if you're underfunded, the last thing you need to do is put any more size or risk more than you can afford losing. So I know it sounds cliche, but definitely don't put anything into the market that you can't afford to lose. So if that is your mortgage payment, definitely don't put it on a trade, right? And if you aren't comfortable letting the trade go to zero, don't put the trade on. So it goes back to say that a lot of new traders kind of put too much size on, because it might seem a little uncomfortable seeing small gains at first, you know. But the point of trading options, what we do, and what the biggest traders in the world do is trade options, right? Is they leverage, and we leverage the opportunity, risk reward ratio, to use as little as possible to make as much as we possibly can. So if I'm comfortable buying a $12 contract, and it, you know, that's $12 to me. If I buy a 15, spend around 180, you know, I'm comfortable with losing $200. My average trade size is $200. So rule of thumb, never use 1 to 3 of your portfolio size on any one trade. You know, if you got a $5,000 account and every trade you make is $1,000, you know, you're gonna have to be super disciplined to keep that up, you know, because things can go wrong very quick, and you got to know, or have that, you know, if you got too much of your account size on any one trade, you're gonna feel spooked. So, you know, just stay consistent, and I promise you, by the time you understand what's really going on, you're keeping your account healthy, it'll be a whole lot better. You know, you'll come out on the other side feeling a whole lot better. Your confidence will be built up. You know, you don't have to put yourself in a position to always want to double your money, or feel like you need to put on a trade. You know, that's why, you know, during earnings season, the average return is a 300% return. And that's just from letting the trades work. You know, you'll have your losers, but you could be right 30% of the time and still increase your account if you're consistent with your trade sizes. You know, you don't want to put on $1,000 trade, put on $100 trade, win the $100 trade, then put a $300 trade, lose a $300 trade. Now you know, it's inconsistent, and it kind of doesn't make any sense. So, you know, develop the trading rules. If you need got all the resources for, you know, the Competent Day Trader, failed traders, a must read. There's certain books. There's a lot of books on trading, but there's certain books that actually will explain to you. Not, you know, technicals are technicals. I mean, of course, you got to know what you're doing. That comes from screen time and actually just paying attention, asking questions, getting into the rooms, the right rooms, and really paying attention. I mean, I feel like options trading should be a bachelor's degree, at least for sure. The full extent, you know, as you go into all the complex and advanced buying and selling strategies or options, it could definitely take a while to understand, right? So just make sure you're paying, your confidence is intact. Not, you're gonna get beat up a little bit, but it's not gonna be as bad if you're losing all your money, right? Like a friend tell me, man, I got to 8,000. I used 1,000 to get to 8,000, then I lost it all. Quick. I got it quick, lost it just as quick, right? Man, that sounds like a good 30 days if you were able to, transition 1,000 into 8,000. Never want to overtrade. So I'm only assuming that he put more size onto his orders. And the money, the psychological aspect after you lose a substantial amount of your account can begin to snowball effect. And, you start to make bad decisions, the wrong decisions, even though you shouldn't be making those decisions. All right, so that's a little bit of trading rules. We got to be a little bit more disciplined when we're on the charts, right? We want to make sure we're making money, not losing money. We want to making sure we're increasing our profit and loss statement. We want to making sure we're treating trading like a business. We want to come out the victors on all battles. This is a battle. You got to sharpen your sword. Our sword is the VWAP, and get ready for battle. So Soxal was on fire. SOXL on fire today. We got an alert on Macy's under the VWAP. If the low is in for the day, how high can Macy's get? They were buying the 21s. So we got it right at this pivot point here. So made it back over this point, back to the VWAP. In the money. So they still liking Macy's. Last week we had JWN. Nordstrom was a good winner. So it seems to be some good flow in these retail names right now in the retail space. Coinbase, over the weekend I was noticing that Bitcoin had finally passed 16,000. I'm a big advocate for crypto. I publish Crypto Scientific Mining for Digital Gold. Check that out on all reading platforms, Amazon, Calais Poteet. You can check that out. So I'm a big crypto enthusiast. Love crypto. So I noticed that Bitcoin finally got back over 16,000, back into 17. So it kind of reflected here. Coinbase up 15% today. Rocking. Absolutely rocking today. Man, I just seen it lift off. It kind of went parabolic this morning, the way it just lifted off the VWAP. Kind of went straight up. And I was like, oh my God. So notice, when I see something like going straight up, like this is as straight up as you can get, all the way to this level here, and it then hits its significance. And to kind of notice where the VWAP kind of ends at the end of the day, fair market value, it comes up, it retests this price a couple times, here, and then kind of close around this same price. So this price right here is super significant. We around 37.85 seems to be, or 37.90, around that. It seems to be the price for Coinbase right now, so stay mindful of that. We got some other levels in. We got 42. All right, so I'm looking for a break. So let's do some mapping. I'm looking for a break at 39.50. You break 39.50 on Coinbase, look for 42. Easy. All right, look for 42. You break that 39.50, we're going to 42. All right, we got a little resistance. We'll check out 40. So we could play a range break. So we're going to retest that 40 though. We break 39, we're going to retest 40. We break 40, we're going to 42. And we got levels on Coinbase. We go back on Coinbase. We trade Coinbase a lot. All right, so now we coming back up, looking like we on some bullish movement. Bitcoin, thank you Bitcoin. All right, so Coinbase, keep that on the watch list. Let's create a watch list. I use Thinkorswim to chart patterns. So let's create a watch list, some things, some names, some tickers we want to check out. Also, I usually use the second watch list to track options. I'll show you how to do that in a second. Let's create a watch list though. We talked about Coinbase, we talked about GDX, we talked about NEM, talked about Soxal. Macy's. We talked about JWN. What else we talked about? What else went crazy today? Seen some other stuff on the scanners. I don't know. I'm interested in steel right now. I'm looking at commodities. Let's just track a few commodities. Let's look at wheat. See, you know, we want to put the Qs in there. Always look at the overall market conditions, sentiment. Qs are rocking. You know, it gave you a good, you know, good play to the upside and the downside. Right here, the VWAP break to the downside. Confirmation to stay short. Can't get over this. You know, it kind of retest this high a couple of times. Tried to anyway. Kind of declined. Started declining, lower lows, higher highs. Higher lows. So you start to see that downtrend starting to form. All right, then it comes back and retests that VWAP, breaks through. Look where it comes and retests these price levels. Right here, retest VWAP, breaks down, another retest, breaks down again. So whenever you see this pattern where it breaks the VWAP to the downside, it comes in, we call this the kiss back. Where it comes to retest the VWAP price, do we have more buyers or do we have more sellers? VWAP lets you know what side of the trade to be on. So we're breaking below the VWAP. I want to be short. I want to be short. I don't want to be long anymore. I want to be in puts. I want to be moving to the downside. So when it comes to kiss back and retest that VWAP, and then it breaks this line, because this is a super important line for us, where it retested and it breaks that point, that's like automatic money. You ever see that? You could bet your bottom dollar you about to get paid on that. Looks just like that. Breaks, retests, break below that low, close, and it's straight down. And it you know, it works to the same way right here. If this VWAP was kind of right here, and you get that kiss back, you know, and it breaks above that high, you make some money. That's a setup I always look for. That setup right there pays me all the time. Outside of just blue line, the orange line, like that's the standard for when you're getting started. But boy, oh boy, when you start seeing these patterns show up, like the dip and rip, fake out, shake out, breakout, start to just go crazy. And that's where we want to get you to. You know, I want to help people, you know, become the opportunity, be able to spot the opportunity for themselves, have the confidence to be a good trader. You know, you don't have to go balls to the wall every day. You know, some days, you don't have to trade every day. You know, you just need a couple of good trades. You know, be disciplined enough to watch your account grow. You'll be in good shape, I promise you. It's one of the best things, one of the easiest, hardest jobs you'll ever have right here. One of the easiest and hardest jobs you'll ever have. So let me show you guys the option chain. If you're unfamiliar with the option chain, this is let me check BBBY, because we got some flow on BBBY too. And we're buying the $2 calls for 23 cents. So let's do this one. Let's put BBBY, Bed Bath & Beyond. Some people call it Bloodbath & Beyond. Literally destroys. It's worth $1.60 right now. It's crazy. Let's see where it came from. A year ago. Well, holy smokes. I think it was 53 bucks. Oh my God. Looks like Bitcoin or something. Anyway, let's go back. All right, so we got some flow today. BBBBY, Bloodbath & Beyond. So this is your strike price. I always want to put all. I always put all. All right, so here you can find your delta, your gamma, your thetas, your vegas, your Greeks. Right here, your expiration dates. But every contract has an expiration date. The closer it gets to that expiration date, your theta will start to kick in, which means the value of your contract will start to decrease. That sucks. So if you're on the weekly, of course you'll get a better percentage gain quicker, but you better be right. You better be right now. Like right now. All right. Or you can go out, but you'll pay a higher premium for time, of course. But let's see, they were buying the 13s, if I'm not mistaken, 2s. So if you want to put this contract on the watch list, what you'll do is you'll right click on the contract, go to copy. So you copy that contract name, you take it to the watch list, you press Control V, and now you got that specific contract on watch. Got that on watch. You can also take it to the chart, Control V it, and it tracks the contract price just like it would the stock price. So we got alerted at 23 cents. Still kind of holding its value. It's down to about 21 cents. Got to a high of 30, 29, 30, which is a nice winner. And that's all you really need to succeed in the options game. So people always ask me, how do you find cheap options? Why are your options always so cheap? Well, one thing we hate doing is we hate overpaying for options. You know, usually if you see people buying options, they'll be spending $200, $300, sometimes $600 or $700 on one contract. Oh man, it's super hard for me to spend $500 on one contract. That's hard. Even when I'm trading stuff like Tesla, you know, usually we still never pay $1. You know, I try not to pay over $1.50 for any contracts. The cheaper the better. You know, you always want to you never want to overpay for options. So you need to utilize a system where you can strategically locate and be able to find cheap options. We call it asymmetrical trading, where you're getting out more than you put in. You know, you put $12 in, put $21 in. Want to be able to get a couple, you know, I'm looking for man, if this thing breaks out tomorrow, goes a couple bucks, you know, 200%, 300%. You know, if that 21-cent option goes to $1.50, we looking good. Somebody's gonna pay $1.50 for it, right? A lot of people always pay $1.50. So I'm hoping that 21-cent contract goes to $1.50. How about you? What if it even goes to $3? Astronomical. It can happen. So we utilize proprietary scanners that helps us locate asymmetrical trades, cheap options, and that meet a certain criteria that we like to call unusual option activity. So if we go to the chain, we'll see volume and open interest. We always look for volume to be greater than open interest. Here we got out of the money. So in the money or at the money. So in the money would be these shaded area options, right? Should be expensive, more expensive. Already in the money. At the money, it'll be close to what the strike price is. You know, where your deltas is close to 50. All right. Well, then, you know, you get out of the money a little bit. This is the call side. So we out of the money, looking at 342s, 22 cents. But we only need that 22 cents to go to 40 cents from here to here. And that's 100% profit, Papa. Yes, sir. Can't believe it. That's all I need to succeed, man. That's all you need. So I like cheap options. You just got to have a strategy that works. And that's what we help people do, identify these trades, how to find them, you know, how to look for them. You know, so there's two ways to work with this right now. Not sure. I think we might do the mentor. We might open up mentorship probably in the summertime. We could do a little bit more closer, unless we, unless we got some qualified candidates. But right now, there's two things you could do. Go to www.privateprofitstrading.com and see if you do qualify. If you're interested in mentorship, the first channel there will actually be a application. So you can fill out the application, see if you qualify on the website. You can also go to contact us. This week we'll be taking calls, strategy calls, to see if you're a good fit for the Make More, Trade Less Accelerator program, or if you want to get into the live trading room every day. Just reach out, let us know. We make all the resources that we have available as far as custom indicators. Everything you see on my charts are custom built. They pull certain data aggregation that might be a little different from yours, which is okay, but it is considered an edge to me. So I think as retail traders, as traders out here that are not institutions, we need to utilize every resource and every piece of technology that we possibly can to be able to extract money from a daily basis from Wall Street. I mean, trading already is not easy. So we got to use what we can use to make sure that we get the full potential out of our time in the markets. It's a beautiful thing once you understand what you're doing, what you're looking at. So yeah, we offer all of those things. And if you want to do a one-on-one call where we just go over some charts, you got some questions, go to the website, www.privateprofitstrading.com. Click the contact us. We'll take you to you can schedule a call right there on that page. Or you can put an application in on the first home page at the top. You can put an application in and see if you qualify for mentorship, or going to this 2023 is on fire. It's absolutely amazing. So let's make this trading year one of the best. Let's not lose any money this year. Let's really come up this year. Let's make a transition from being a bad trader to a good trader, because every good trader started off as a bad trader. It's just one of those things that has to happen. So you don't want to, and like I said, it's okay to be wrong. Just don't stay wrong. We don't want to stay wrong. We want to be able to participate in the markets at full capacity. Full capacity. So like I said, there's two ways to learn the market, which is losing a lot of money or going through the educational process. Either or. You're probably going to have to do both, because the market is a monster, man. I know everybody that's on this channel right now has lost a lot of money in the markets. I for one have lost a lot of money in the markets before it started to make sense. So had it not been for the educational process and the strategies with the tools that I learned, these certain studies are custom. You won't find these anywhere, I promise you, unless you pay for them. So yeah, just studying these charts, and you start to, and there's some other things we use, volume profile. I love ATR, average true range. We talked a little bit about volume weighted average price. Use the average true range. Use volume profile every so often. These lines right here are so spot on. Sometimes, I'll look at the volume profile after the fact and kind of just come up with a roadmap. That's just super early in the morning, but I've just got so comfortable where I just get up in the morning, cut the trade room on, the scanners start flying, and we just go to work. I'm looking for certain setups every day. I don't even want to hear the news in the morning. I'm like, okay, let me just cycle through stocks. Because if I see a setup, I'm in. I just coming through here, I'll just type in, like, today for some reason, like Coinbase hit. Oh yeah, Coinbase we had some flow on Coinbase. Or Soxel. We had Soxel going crazy. It was just a crazy day. Today was amazing. Hope everybody made money today, but like I said, reach out to us, Private Profits Trading. You can email us support@privateprofitstrading.com, and